In this lesson, let's tackle some of the issues that will come up as we continue to add resolution along the side and the door of our car. Alright, so now that we're in polygon mode and working with polygons, we have a little bit more control over, well, a lot more control over how our edge loops continue along the surface of our vehicle. And the computer is going to try to, when we insert these edge loops, it's going to take the easiest way. It's going to go across the four-sided faces, but sometimes the edges don't go exactly where we want them to go, and you don't have to take what the computer gives you. You have the tools here in Maya to redraw those edges to get them exactly the way that you want. An example down here is the fact that we have this edge coming down along the side here. Instead of continuing along here to help us define the corner of our scoop here, it turns the corner and heads that way. And we really don't need it to go that way because we've got plenty of other edges going that way as well. So we need to kind of try to reroute this and kind of redraw things down here and clean them up a little bit. Okay, so Maya has some tools to do that. One of the things you can do right away is I'm just going to take these edges right where in the area that I'm worried about, and I'm just going to hit delete edge right here. We've added it from our shelf, from our menu up here, delete edge and vertex, so it's going to delete the edges and any vertices that are associated with it that aren't attached to another vertex. In this case, we don't have any, so it's just going to get rid of those edges. Alright, so now we're going to, I'm just going to add an edge loop right there. Well, you just go ahead and draw that in, just to show you where I want that to be. So this is where we want to continue that edge loop along. So I'm going to go down here at the bottom where that's going to continue. I'm going to just delete that edge as well. And then I can go in here and insert that edge loop, and then I'll just connect it up. Okay, and I'll connect it up at the bottom as well. Right there. But now we have all these edges to worry about over here that are kind of ending up on this edge. We need to figure out something to do. Let's go over here, take a look at what's going on down here at this point. Okay, so one of these edges is coming down here and turning the corner and going up the side. And looking at this geometry, we really don't need that edge at this point, so go ahead and grab that guy and then grab all these associated edges all the way up to the top, and I'm just going to delete those. And let's take a look at what we can do here. So it looks like we've got an edge defining the inside top of this scoop here, but then it turns and kind of goes off in this direction, and then we've got another edge defining the inside top of this scoop. So it'd be nice if we could actually reroute that and connect it. And we can do it real easy right here by just selecting the edge where this is kind of cut off. I'm just going to delete that. You can hit the delete key if you just have one edge. And if you do it on multiple edges, it's going to leave the vertices there, and that's the point where you want to use your delete edge option here. And I'm just going to use my split polygon tool, and I'm going to start up right where that edge began, and I'm going to bring it up to this edge right here. Alright, so now we've got that edge connected, and we have what could be a triangle, except for the fact that there are two edges connecting it. So if we can only get rid of one of these, that would help us a lot. So let's see where this guy goes. So he's going all the way up here, and he shows up here. Well, that's going to help us because we need to get rid of another edge up here anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and have those edges selected. I'm just going to delete edge. So now we have a triangle here that's, we have an edge connecting it, so it's making that into a quad, so that's going to work for us. Let's see what we've got up here. Looks like we've got two edges. I'm going to grab this guy, zoom in there a little bit. I'm just going to, where'd he go? There he is. I'm going to just pull him in just a little bit. We don't need it to be quite so tight. So I've got these 2 points here, these two vertices that we need to take care of. And one of the ways that we can do this, I delete my history here, is I'm just going to grab my split polygon tool. I'm going to grab the top edge, okay, and instead of drawing across these, I'm going to cut it off right here at this point. Alright, so that will give us a piece of four-sided geometry right here. And we have been able to eliminate some of the extraneous edges up here that were giving us some problems. Now if we go down here at the bottom, you can also do the same thing right here that we did before. So we go over here and find where this edge is turning the corner and delete that, and basically just repeat the process over on this side. Okay. But right now I'm just going to go in and add some edge loops right here. So we want this to be kind of a nice corner shape, okay, over here. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, we want it to be sharp down here. I'm going to edge loop down there, and maybe one up here. And we want the front, you can see we're adding edges, so we need to make sure we go back and manipulate those along this curve. And we want to make sure on the front, if we go to our side view here, we want to maintain that curve, and right now it's kind of getting a little bit sharper than we'd like. So, go ahead and, in this case, I want to use my transform or translate along world or object, and I'm going to just move that out just to smooth things out a bit so it's not so sharp. Okay, and in this case I can go in here and continue to smooth out my points here that from the new edges that I've created. So we want to go and do that, and on the back as well. There we go. It's getting to where we don't have to move them as much because we've got that circle shape already defined. So the edges that we add aren't really doing that much, so we're not having to move them that far. If we go back into our perspective here. Okay, we need to add some edges along, I think we need one along here because we want this to be a tight fit here where this door meets the panel. So I'm going to add one right along there. And it's going to help us down here, sharpen this guy up. And now we need to start worrying about the door and where the door meets. So you can see right here that this corner, where this corner is, it's going to be smooth from here to here to here, so that's going to create a really soft edge, and we want it to be really sharp. So what we need to do is add some resolution there. So let's go ahead and insert some edge loops. I'm going to insert an edge loop right on this corner. Okay, and that's really going to sharpen this up, so you need to be aware if you want that corner to be that sharp. So we may need to move those points up, we'll see. And I'm going to add one right along. Actually pull it out just a little bit because we don't want to create creases along the side here, and then I'm going to redraw it back in where I want it to be and get rid of that edge. Okay, so that's as if we would have added an edge loop right here and then kind of moved all these points out on the normal, but it's just a little bit quicker. Okay, now I want to add an edge loop along the side here to tighten that up, and we don't want to forget this corner over here. You need one right there and right there. And we're getting the same kind of problem here where our edge loop is kind of turning the corner, so we may need to deal with that in a second. And now let's concentrate on the door. Okay, so we want to basically match these anywhere we add an edge loop where we're going to have a corner meeting the panel. We want the edge loop to be in the same spot, and that will tell us that curvature is going to be the same. The smoothing algorithm is going to treat it the same on the door and on the panel. So if we have our edges in the same spot, that produces a predictable result. We know that our door will match up. So I'm going to create that edge loop there. Matches up nicely. And one here. Okay, and that matches up. And let's go ahead and add one along the side here. Go ahead and just do that one, and then we'll figure this out in just a second. I'll probably redraw it over there. And let's see where else we need to add an edge loop maybe. Okay, so it's actually looking pretty good. Let's go in and figure this guy out. So I know I want an edge loop to be along the top here, but because we have that triangle, it's giving us a little bit of a problem. So just want to go in and manually take care of that. So I've drawn my edge loops there. Now let's take a look right here. So we've got our two edge loops here. Just going to move that kind of into position, into a spot there. And let's go ahead and just connect those. There we go. And then if I want to go ahead and add a loop right here, that'll help us to get a nice sharpness in here, and also helps us get rid of that triangle there. And it looks like we've got, let's go ahead and match that up. You can see we've got the sharpness added right here, so it'd be nice to, as much as possible, add those edges in the same spot. So in this case, I'm going to just, actually, let's just redraw that from here. And just kind of space it in the same direction, and then we can connect it back up to our, right there where we ended up. And then we can grab these. So when you first draw that curve, you want to just go ahead and move it out on its normals, or you can actually draw it in like that so that it matches up nicely. Looks like we also might need to match up another edge inside there. Let's go ahead and delete our history. Let's real quickly take a look at how this is looking. Just let's convert that to poly or to sub D. Smooth that. I'm going to take my wireframe off just a little bit. So it looks like our curvature is a little bit different here, and that's because we haven't matched up those edges quite perfectly yet. But this stuff is looking pretty good. We might need to smooth this out a little bit. It looks like we're getting, yeah, it looks pretty good actually. And the door, corners of the door, may need to do a little bit of work. And you can see whenever you sub D something, if it's, you get some stuff like this, that lets you know that something is going on there. In this case, we have our triangles up there. So do a little more work on that. These corners actually look pretty good on our body piece. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and convert that back into polygon. We want to go from sub D to polygon. Oops, that's nerves. From sub D to polygon. You want to make sure that if we're going to be going back and forth, you want to make sure that your tessellation method is set to vertices and your levels at 0. That's going to give you the lowest. It's basically going to just give you the poly cage that you started with. So you can see that that's exactly what we had before. Okay. All right, so we're getting a lot closer to getting this sub D res figured out and getting these things redrawn. I think we'll just go through one more lesson and tweak this out a little bit, and just make sure that it's all nice and clean for when we start continuing on with our car.